that?
Many languages. Hey, everybody. We're at the Delve In Talk Show. That's right. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. And we got Mike on the show. Hello, Mike.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on.
No problem, no problem. Jess, say hello to everybody.
Hi, how you doing?
Now, guys, before we start, you'll see that in the description, there's a little note saying that StreamYard makes you say that they're allowed to use your comment. Please understand, it's safe. It's just so that, nobody gets in trouble and it's all that little bullshit. So make sure you click it that way. You can comment and ask Mike questions because I'm sure you got a lot of them. Also, please remember that Texas and Oregon are being heavily affected. Mike is in Texas right now, so the fact that he's able to be with us is an honor and an epic moment because they have Texas got snow, folks. Can we talk about that? Texas got snow to the point where they do not have, service going on. So the fact that he's using a hotspot right now, if it takes him a few minutes to answer, it is because of the delay of the internet frequency available to him right now. It has nothing to do with him or the quality of the kind of show he could put out or the type of guest he is. It's literally only internet issues and Mother Gaia being a little super cranky. So I wanted to make sure I put that out there so nobody was like, what's going on with this dude? Now we know all is good. If anybody wants to say something, they can go somewhere else with it. But until we start talking to Mike, please, I want you to like the page, turn on those notifications, share it around so that everybody can talk with Mike too. Let me know in the comment section how you're doing, if you've been affected by the weather at all, so that I know you're here with us. And Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about your paranormal society that you have?
Well, MPS, Midnight Paranormal Society, I actually founded it because when I was a child myself, I grew up in an apartment, and back in the 80s, my mom, our neighbor, came to us wanting to host a party in our apartment complex. Mind you, she lives in the same complex. They're pretty much matching apartments. Everyone has almost the same cookie cutter apartment, but she wanted to do it in our my neighbor at the time, her son, who now he's already passed, him and his friend bring the Ouija board over. And so I was a small kid. I had no idea what they were doing. My mom saw they were playing this game, ran everybody out. And so from that point on, we experienced things that we really didn't understand. And, seeing my mom cry, the things that we experienced, and nobody wanted to help us, family, friends, the church, nobody wanted to help us until the moment came where one day the Jehovah's Witnesses came over to our apartment. We invite them in. Normally people shoo them away or don't even answer the door. My mom was like, let them come in. Let's see if they experience it. They did. And that was the validation we were looking for. So fast forward to 2008, I told my sister, who's my co-founder, I said, look, I want to create a team that's not just a team, but our family. I'm the eldest of 7 siblings. So to me, it's I wanted a team to match that. I want to have that family vibe. So I started my journey, and eventually, I prayed a lot to God. I was like, hey, listen, I don't know where I'm going, but you guide me and I'll take the steps. And so slowly but surely, through the ups and downs, like a roller coaster, I found the people who I have now, my team, who I consider family. And so we, people contact us, they say, hey, my house is haunted, or, I think my business is haunted. And we as a team, as a collective, go out, and we have people on my team who some have abilities, some don't. But together we get to the bottom of things to try to get answers for these individuals. So that's what MPS is.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
Now, what year did you start MPS itself?
In 2008.
That's really awesome. So you've been doing it for quite some time. I bet you have some very interesting evidence over the years. Is there anything that was the scariest freaking moment for you that you could tell us? Because we love those.
Yeah. So when I first started MPS, just like anybody who first comes into this field, you don't know what to expect. You're kind of not naive, but you're kind of oblivious to some of the things. I mean, you have an idea, but not 100%. So my mom was living in this duplex, and she says, for maybe 2-3 months, Mike, I need you to come to my apartment. things are going on at the time. Her then boyfriend, they were saying they were hearing children walking in the kitchen at night. And mind, there's no kids. So if you think about a duplex, it's a house that's divided in two, right? And the thing is, nobody lived in the other side because no one lasted in this house. And this is my one of my good friends from high school, his father-in-law's property, but nobody would last. My mom was the only one who lasted more than normally when people will leave. So she's like, come check it out, come check it out. I was like, I'm busy, I'm working. And so finally I went one evening, 6 p.m. I got there. The sun was still out, it's already kind of like setting a little bit. And when you walk into the duplex, there's two doors there. One had this lock on the handle, so I knew that was not the door. So I go into the one to the left, and the screen door was locked, but the actual door inside was open. And I said, "Hey, mom, I'm here." And from what I can see, I saw like this old wooden floors, this huge mirror, and I'm just waiting, right? It's an older home, and I'm just waiting. My mom says, hold on, I'm getting my shoes. Don't leave. Give me just a moment. I said, okay, cool. I turned my back to the door. Mind you, this porch that I'm on, it's about 3 to 4 steps. You got to go up, and it's a pretty high porch. I noticed that the neighbor next door, he had this sheet metal privacy fence. And so I'm looking at his yard. My eyes are following the fence, like going back towards the street. And when my eyes meet like there's like a telephone pole there, like a brown pole there. I see my mom walking around the corner coming towards me, and I'm like, wait a second. I just heard in the house say, hold on, I'm getting my shoes, don't leave. And she's walking, she's like, hey, mijo. She's like, hey, mijo, I was calling you to your phone, but you weren't answering. And I was like, and my phone didn't ring once, right? And I'm like, wait a second, and she's like, what? I said, I go, how'd you go from being in the house to coming from the opposite direction? She's like, what are you talking about? I've been at the little corner store this whole time talking to the lady using her phone to call you. I said, no, mom. I said, I just heard you right now. She was like, come here. So she walks towards the door with me. I said, mom, are you almost done getting your shoes? And my mom's right next to me, right?
Yeah.
And my mom's voice comes to the door and says, I told you to hold on. I'm getting my shoes. Don't leave. Yeah. And my mom's right next to me, and she hears this.
Chills.
Yeah, she hears this, and she looks at me, and you know how like all excited, she like squeezing my arm, like, I told you something's in my effing house. And I was like, I look at her, I'm like, holy, excuse my language, but holy, you know what? I was like, and this is like in the beginning of me investigating, so I never experienced anything like that, actually going and looking for it. I tell people, listen, it's one thing to have an experience, like, without looking for it. And it's a total another ball game to go out there and seek this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that
so
is.
it terrified me to my core, I'm not gonna lie. And here's the crazy part. The entire time I was there, her boyfriend was in the backyard barbecuing. And I tell people, listen, I don't care where you come from. When someone is grilling, I don't care what they're using, charcoal or whatever, you're gonna smell the smoke from the meats from blocks down.
Oh, yeah,
there was no smell of nothing until I went to the backyard.
Yeah, there's a
which
barrier.
is so insane.
I have a theory.
So
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like residual energy, right? So like the person's still alive, but the energy vortex of some sort may be like whipping around in there, right? Just absorbing everything that crossed its path. So maybe it's just like, I don't consider it like maybe like activity, like, well, clearly it's paranormal, but it's not like a ghost dwelling. Maybe it's just some type of energy vortex that's just, it's not.
Two things. One, you have to stop having your microphone rub against whatever the fuck you got going on, Justin.
Oh, my crystals.
It's all good.
Okay. Two, it's definitely an entity as well as like something else, because otherwise
it's something intelligent.
It has to be, because the fucking voice came from the house telling. And the only reason I also know is, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I had something happen to me in my house with my mom. We were both in the garage. My mom smoked cigarettes. Freaking ridiculous. So I'm outside trying to talk to her on the steps, and we both hear a voice cry out to us, help, help. And I'm like, yo, but it's in our garage with the door fucking closed, and it's nighttime, so there shouldn't be a child or any person that we can't see in our little fucking garage. I grab my mom's arm, I put her out her cigarette, I pull her in the house, I lock the door. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, somebody needs help. I'm like, shush up. I was like, hold on, no disrespect, but what was the tone of the voice you heard? She's like, what do you mean? It was an old lady. I'm like, aha, I heard a child. I'm like, I knew it. So I was like, nope. So like, freaked us both out.
I need to be educated on this because I was under the impression that residual energy had nothing to do with intelligent entities.
You're the one who said that word, though, my girl. You're the only person who said residual energy. You brought it up.
Oh,
he didn't.
Yeah. Because to me, in my opinion,
because it was your
something
mom's
that's
voice.
able
That's
to take
what made me think.
right. It took on the form of her voice mimicking her. To me, that's not residual because residual is only like a broken record playing over and over again. And with something intelligent,
I
you
get
see
it.
what I'm saying?
It adds.
We learn every day. We learn every day.
Yeah. I'm still new to this.
No, that's why I do this show with Jess, by the way, dude. Like, because she's so new to it that I love having her on, because the point of doing the show, Delve In, is for every new person who is always interested but too scared to ask the questions. So I bring the show on with all sorts of different people so that everybody can have a different type of perspective on stuff they were too afraid to delve into themselves, with professionals who've been doing it, plus people like me and Jess who just go, hey, this happened, or I don't know, and learning. So that way, whoever's listening also can know it's a safe environment, because we're all learning every day. So the other thing is, I've noticed that they will mimic a voice you really care about. Like me, I always protect children instantly. My first reaction, if I hear a child's voice, so my mom,
it went after what you were interested in.
So for him, it was the mom's voice, because automatically you'd be fine. He might even try to walk into the house and then snatch, grab, siphon. And the reason why he couldn't smell the backyard, in my humble opinion, is because of whatever else is going on. It's almost like a barrier wall. Now, when you do protect spells, like in any kind of, whatever, you would have, there's actually stuff where, like, if you protect, let's say, your room, you can actually feel a massive temperature change going in and out of that room. Like in my room, I have it so protected. My room stays hot. And you open that door and it's freezing cold on the other side. It's not for any other reason than wherever you shield keeps that energy in. So if that has been locked in for either residual spell reasons, previous owners, whatever it might be, and we cut Mike off, unfortunately, so we'll let him go back to it. But
yeah, I want to know. I want to know what you.
No. I have so much more to say right now about this, and I'm gonna get to the point. But go ahead and finish.
But that was my only thing, was different kind of things. Go ahead, Mike.
Gotcha. The barrier.
Right. So we go to the backyard. I see this guy, right? Where I'm talking to him, and imagine like you walk into like this brick wall, like just smell barbecue, and I'm like, what the hell? That just wasn't that didn't sit well with me. I'm like, how in the hell? If I could be like at the corner store and like down the road someone's barbecuing, I could smell that smoke from a mile away, right? So I go back there. We're kicking back. I'm talking to my mom. She doesn't tell her boyfriend what we experienced. He's a big chicken. And so, we're eating food. This is about 6:30 p.m. We're there all the way to about midnight. I mean, we're barbecuing, eating. And then finally it hits midnight. And I told her, look, I'm going to go into the house, stay in your room. And at this time, when I first started NPS, I had not a lot of equipment. I had maybe like some rinky-dink old cameras and record just simple, basic stuff, which I'll get to that point later on. But anyways, I went into the room. I said, look, stay, because when you go from the back of the house into the house, it leads to her room and then to the kitchen. I said, stay in your room. I go, keep the TV on mute. I said, anytime you move, just say, not super loud, but like, I'm moving from the bed. I'm taking my shoes off. That way I know it's being labeled, that it's us and not the spirits. I want to distinguish the two. So I walk into the kitchen before I start the investigation, or, in the house. I do a walkthrough. I have all the lights on. I want to see if there's anything that's going to harm me in the house, broken glass, just anything that's going to hurt me. So I'm looking, and what was really weird, because the gentleman who owned the property, he gave my mom access to the full duplex. Like, you can have the whole thing for the lowest dirt cheap, price. And so, she was like, I'll do it, right? And so I'm looking through the whole house. There's always bedrooms, and imagine if you go into a house that's been renovated, and the rooms they literally just put sheetrock, they did the taping float, and there's like barely finished rooms, like there's nothing in there, just empty rooms. And so I'm looking at all of them, and I noticed that every single door were white, and there was only one door that was red. I said, I'm gonna go in there. So normally when I investigate, or me and my team investigate. We'll pray beforehand, and then we'll come up with a game plan what we're gonna do. I was like, you know what? I prayed. I said, I'm gonna sit down in this room. I'm not gonna say a word. I want whatever's here to be curious enough to say, you know what, who's this guy? Let me go check him out real fast and come to me. So I just plopped down the floor. Like 15 minutes go by, nothing's happening. 30 minutes go by, nothing's happening. I'm just sitting there. I mean, all I can hear is, whenever a car passes by, and then all of a sudden something happens to me. You know how either you have like high blood pressure, or like you go to high altitude and your ears start popping, like you get like pressure in your ears. Well, that happened to me, and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with my ears? So I yawn, and then my ears pop, and I'm like listening, and it almost felt like my hearing went away, which is really weird. And I'm looking around, and then all of a sudden, I will never forget this moment. I start hearing boom, boom, like these footsteps are walking towards. I mean, it's so quiet in there, like a fly could have flown by and farted, and you're gonna hear this sound of the fart, like, and you can hear boom, boom, and I'm like, you know what? I know my mom's boyfriend. He's a prankster. He's a complete. He tries to scare the hell out of me, and you see boom, you hear boom, boom. It's like a slow pace, but it's coming. And when it gets to the door, I go to the door, and I have this guy with me, and I said, listen, when he gets to that door, I'm gonna yank that mother open, and we're gonna scare the hell out of this guy. And he's like, okay, and we get up real slowly. And when the steps stop right in front of the doorway, and mind you, we had a camcorder on the water heater outside in the hallway, so it was facing that area. I ripped the door open. There's nobody there. I look both ways. I had the flashlight. I'm looking. The camera's rolling. I'm like, what the hell? And to me, I'm like, if it would have been him and he ran away, you're gonna hear the loud footsteps, with him running. No, there's nothing. I closed the door. I said, there's something there. And I said, my name is Mike. This is so and so. Mom let me know that she's been experiencing this and this and this. I'm not here, for any with any bad intentions. I just want to know who you are and why you're here. And it became so quiet. Like I had to make sounds because it almost felt like I couldn't hear. It was weird. And then I said, the guy who was with me goes, hey, can I take a photo in the hallway and let me see if I could, we catch it on camera. I said, if you're okay with them taking a photo, knock once on the wall like this. And I banged as hard as I could. I said, but if you don't want a photo, bang twice. And I went boom. And then before I could do the second one, it was like it completed that bang, like boom. I mean, and it felt like it shook the wall. And I was like, and I jumped back and I was like, holy. And like, he looks at me, I look at him, and he's like, F it, I'm still going to do it. He walks out into the hallway. And he starts click, 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 flashing away with the old camera that he had. And then I pull him inside and I stand on the door. I go, dude, don't be disrespectful, because understand this right now. This is not a physical thing that we can stop. This is a spiritual thing. If it tries to hurt us, I can't grab it and bear hug it and try to protect you. It's gonna harm us.
Yeah.
So I apologize. And what was so crazy is when this happens, you hear steps walking away from us, like footsteps.
Nice.
And I said, please come back. I said, I don't know who you are. I just want to ask you some more questions. I forgive this guy. Forgive us. We're both, very excited and nervous at the same time. I go, this doesn't normally happen this fast, And so you hear it coming back. This time, what really scared the hell out of me was it's coming back to us, right? And this time, I can't even mimic the sound. It wasn't like the sound of nails, but it was like as it's walking down the hallway towards the door where we're at. It's like something was rubbing against the wall as it was walking. Like if it was dragging like a hand or just something rough was going against the wall. And my heart was like being like a million miles an hour. I'm like hyperventilating. And at that moment, I'm not gonna lie, at that moment, I tell people this happens to almost every investigator at one point in their and them investigating in their journey. You get that you question yourself, should I really be doing this? And that's what happened. And that's what happened to me. I questioned, should I really be doing this? Like, what the hell am I doing? But then at that moment when I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. At that moment, I remember being a kid and seeing my mom cry and not knowing who was gonna help us, And I remember I made a promise to myself as a child. I said, I never want anyone to feel this way. So that's why I reminded myself. It was like I gave myself a pep talk, like, Mike, don't focus on the fear. Focus on why this happens the way it does. How can we help people not be scared of this kind of thing?
Exactly.
And so I snapped myself out of it, and then I could hear it getting closer. And the crazy part is, as it was getting closer, it was like a scary movie, man. I'm not gonna lie. The door handle, every time I took a footstep, the door handle would like rattle, and I'm like, oh hell, man.
Nice. Yeah.
Wow,
And
that's
then
a
like and
lot
then
of
like
power.
yeah,
Oh,
and then it
really?
stops right in front of the door, and I said, look, let's start all over again. I said, can you please, so I can better address you, what is your name? And we start asking all these questions and blah blah. All of a sudden, nothing more is happening. It's kind of like dies out. So I said, well, thank you for your time. We're gonna go and go respectfully. Can you stay on your side of the house? My mom will stay on her side. Just have that boundary. Like, she
Yeah.
will respect you as well. So we leave. To my mom, I take off. Well, we went home, right? And the guy, it was one of my investors at the time. I cut him off a long time ago, but he was a liability. But at the time, he was reviewing the evidence, the audio, and this is where things got crazy. Okay, so we're asking all these questions, and first a woman comes through. When I was asking, I said, "Is there anything here that's preventing you guys from talking to us?" And then a woman shouted, "Leave me!" For whatever reason, I don't know if that was a residual thing or what, but she was like, "Leave me!" And then all of a sudden, a man comes through right afterwards, and he said, "It's evil," but like in a whisper.
Yeah.
And the crazy part it was, to add to that, was it said it's evil, and then a minute went by, and then you heard evil. A minute will go by, evil. It did 6 times.
What in the
Sick.
A minute apart from each
fuck?
other.
Nice.
Evil, 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 evil. And I'm like, okay, I get it. It's evil. I At the time I didn't have a cleanser. I was just starting out. I found a guy who was going to help. Who was going to help cleanse. My mom was so scared of what was going on. She
Aw,
ended up moving out. So
good.
we didn't get to take care of business. But still, I to this day I've passed by that house, and it's just one of the places that
You should go
I
back and
want to
finish
get
cleaning
back
it up.
into.
Go back and
I would
clean it
love
up.
to get back in there, but that was one of the scariest parts of me first starting off my journey in the
Oh, I would
field.
believe
Did
it for
anything come
sure.
out in the photo?
That's a good question.
Yeah, there was one thing that came out actually. I was by the front door, and I'm not really big on orbs, right? And I'm not big on that. No offense to anybody else, but something strange happened, right? So on the photo, imagine if you got those big old, like the bubble blowers, like it has a big old circle,
Yeah,
and imagine you kind of go like this real fast, and it makes like a long bubble, like a worm shaped thing. It looked like
yes.
that, but it was in the air. And
Ooh,
when that happened, I was like, could it be a reflection? And so when I went to get the photos developed, and I took photos with the disposable camera, not like a digital camera. So
cool.
the
Okay.
person who developed the photos at Walgreens, I said, listen, have you seen this before? She's like, well, it doesn't look like it was altered. She was like, I can't explain what it is. And so I just kind of left it at that. But that was the only thing that came out. But here's check this out. This is what really kind of left me scratching my head. So when I heard that footsteps walking away from us on video, the door across from us, the room, as we heard the footsteps walking away, before they walk away, the door opens and you see the handle turning by itself, like someone's opening from the inside. When it opens, a cat walks out, and the
Yes.
cat's walking as a cat's walking, it's making those loud footsteps.
What?
And you explain that to me, because my cat, she walks around all the time, and never have I
You
heard her
can't
make
hear a damn
boom,
thing.
boom, boom.
How did the
You know
cat
what I
open
mean?
the door? How about that first part? How did the cat open the
I have
door?
no idea.
Tricks,
And
forget
I just and I'm just like, I don't know, I can't explain those
shapeshifter.
events, but it was
Shapeshift.
just a really crazy experience I'll never forget,
I would
ever.
believe
I
it.
can't believe that was like one of your firsts. That's
Yes,
like
yes,
Popped
that's
your
like
ghost cherry hard, dude. You popped your ghost cherry super hard.
yeah, man. I don't think you could
Yeah,
get
it
any
was no
better than
joke,
that one.
man.
That's a good one. I've
Yeah.
had some doozies. That's a good one for sure. Especially, usually, was it like, did you have all the lights out? Because that's usually, like, people forget, like, it's usually
Yeah,
lights out, cameras. So
it was
imagine
pitch black. Yeah.
fucking A, dude. I knew it. So, like, For the audience that doesn't understand, you're sitting in a room, pitch darkness, you don't know what's going on, you have a little camera where you're just waiting for something to happen, and then all you hear, because you can see nothing but pitch blackness, is boom, 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 getting closer while a doorknob is rattling. He's right, it's like a scary movie because there's literally nothing you else could do except maybe turning on a light, and that defeats the whole purpose because now you can't get any evidence that way because of differentiation of frequencies of paranormal elements versus our plane of reality kind of issue. So, you know, think about that. Think about sitting in like a haunted, paranormal, abandoned psych center, right? Imagine the residual or the ghost, etc. there. Now you're sitting in the dark hearing, yeah, or whatever else. I love it. Sorry, I can't help myself. So that's ballsy, man.
So, what are the kind of things that you experienced at your house when you were a kid?
Oh, good question too. She's so good at this.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm gonna say this right now, just for the viewers. Like, when it comes to paranormal stuff, like I talk about this every day, all day. I love it. Like, I never get tired of talking about it. When I was at the house, at the apartment, when I was a kid back in the '80s, at the time, like I said, I was the only child at that time. My mom was pregnant with my sister, and you know, the one thing that really scared us, or I mean, it was a lot of things, but here are just some of the examples. There was one night. It was like 2 in the morning, about 1 or 2 in the morning. It was really late, and so I remember my mom and I were asleep, and we hear boo, boo, boo. I mean, the loudest bangs on the front door downstairs. It was upstairs and downstairs apartment, and boo, boo, boo. My mom, she just jumps up. I'm a little kid, jump up like, what the hell's going on? I run after her, and we go to the bottom, and all of a sudden, there's two police officers at the front door,
Oh my God.
and they're like, open up.
Sorry,
They're like, open the door right now. And my mom opens the door. She's freaking out. And they're like, we got to call that there was. And this is the time when there was no cell phones, at least that I can recall.
Or
And
internet, folks. It was not like we have internet today. So there was nothing like that where you just
right.
go on your Wi-Fi cell phone. Continue.
Yeah. And so my mom was like, how can I help you? What's going on? She's like, we got a call from dispatch that someone called from this apartment number, or for this apartment, saying that they were being held hostage and they're about to get killed. And we're here to help, right? And they're like, let us in right now. My mom was like, we don't even have a house phone. How in the hell, how can someone call from this apartment, you know? So the cop looked at the other cop and like at the other guy, and they looked at each other and looked at my mom. They're like, excuse me. She's like, come in, just walk in. You can, you know, tear the house up if you want. We'll clean it. They went through I mean, there was only 2 bedrooms on the top and in the living room, but they went through every part of the apartment. There was nothing. And then while this is happening, my mom's freaking out. I'm like holding on to her, like all scared. Our neighbor comes out right next to us, and we couldn't stand those people. Like they couldn't stand me as a kid. Like they hated me. But they came out. They were like, I don't know what's going on, but you need to tell Mike you stop running up and down the stairs at night in the middle of the night. My mom was like, he ain't running around no stairs. He's laying with me in the bed. And she was like, what? He goes, I hear him every single night run up and down the stairs, banging on the walls. And my mom's like, no,
why would they just assume that was you? Like,
I have no idea. They were like those evil neighbors in the apartment complex, you know?
Yeah.
And always angry. And so that was one of the occurrences, right? Well, then my mom, she started hanging this like, imagine like a curtain for your window, but she hung it right by the stairway, the lit up stairs. She hung it there because every I won't say like every night we would be watching TV, and it always happened. It was never the same time. It wasn't like a residual thing. It was always different times. Wow. But you would see a little hand, like imagine you're there, and all of a sudden you see like a little hand kind of like reach out and like touch the like around the wall, you know, where the stairs are at. Yeah. And we would just see like a little hand there, and we're like, oh, like I would scream all loud, and my mom would scream, and it would go away. And so she put that curtain there. And so when I mentioned about how the Jehovah's Witnesses came over,
yes.
Well, at this point, my mom was not on drugs. She didn't drink. You know, she was just losing her mind. And we went to the church, and the church was like, hey, we don't do that kind of stuff. Yep. I'm sorry. You know, here's some holy water. Here's some scriptures. Good luck. And so we're there, and we're like, what can we do? My mom's like, how about this? The next person or individuals come to our apartment, I don't care who they are. I'm going to invite them in. Don't say a word, and let's see if they can experience what we experience. The first people to come over, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they were those Spanish ladies. They walk in, and my mom's like, "Don't go anywhere. I'm making breakfast. I'm making coffee. Just sit there, watch TV with my son. Please don't leave." And this
Aw.
is early in the morning, and so I'm staying there, and I'm like shaking all like, and it wasn't even scary. It was just more of an excitement, like hoping they would see what we saw.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like like Hawkeyes. I'm looking towards the stairs, and like out of nowhere, where the curtains at, imagine like a semi-transparent, like white kind of curtain. You see these two little hands pushing the curtain like this, like little hands pushing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and I want to yell, but I don't want it to go away. So I'm just like, I'm quiet, but I'm looking at it, hoping that one of the ladies will look at me looking that way and just look that way and see this little hands.
Right.
Sure enough, it happened. She looked at me. She was, I wasn't blinking, and she looked that way. And she says to my mom, she was like, ma'am, is it okay if I invite your daughter from the stairs to come sit with us and talk? And we can sit down and talk. My mom says, daughter, she's like, you see my stomach right here? It's big. I'm pregnant with a little girl. She ain't here yet. Just me and my son. Well, who's the little girl at the stairs? My mom says, that ain't my little kid. She's like, if you can get that little girl to come sit with us, I'm getting my son and we're running out of the apartment. She's like, what do you mean? She's like, that's a ghost. And she's like, no. And so the little lady gets up, like, walking. She's elderly, walking all slow over there. I'm not kidding you. Down to the last second, as she's walking, the little kid is pushing the curtain. That
Yeah.
moment, that woman, she rips that curtain to the side. No one's there. She yelled so loud, and the other little ladies, they jumped up and they ran out the apartment, left their little booklets, purses, and they left. And so when that happened, my mom was like, finally, we're not crazy. Like, it's not in our minds. Like, we're actually experiencing stuff, And so the last thing that happened, or the last two things that happened before we moved, it was one evening, and always in the evening, right? We're watching TV. At this time, my sister, hey, one evening we're sitting there watching TV. My sister's already here at this time. This is like 89. And my sister's here, she's already born, and we're watching TV. The neighbor whose son who brought the damn Ouija board to our house, they live like, here's our apartment, and like a few feet away across, it's her apartment, her window. And she was, my mom didn't have a home phone, so her means of communication, or at least our neighbor was, she was like, Joanne, like real loud to the window, like this loud, scream. That was the telephone calling, right? And so my mom would go to the window, what do you want? And they'll talk that way, like crazy West Siders, right?
Yep.
And so she goes, Joanne, and it was late. We're watching TV. My mom goes, for some reason, goes to the second floor. I don't know why. And she opens the window. What do you want? Who's that person in your bottom window looking through your window? And she's like, huh? And so my mom looks down. I look down with her, and you can see from the screen. Imagine someone like this, like looking at this through the window with their two hands, like peeking in.
Yeah,
But all you saw was darkness because it was dark outside. We go downstairs, and when we go down the stairs, right when the stairs are about to, you're about to come to the floor, right on our periphery, you see someone standing there, but you can't see their face. My mom opens the door, and that person's gone. And her friends at the window still. She said that she saw the woman or the person ducked down in the bushes, and they were gone. And my mom was like, and my mom turned the light on from the porch light on. Yeah. We looked, and it was a type of bushes I don't know if you've seen before. They're like long, stringy things, and they're sharp. So if you walk in them, they'll slice your ass. Like they're real sharp bushes. And so it's like, where can the person gone? I mean, it's only two bushes, so it's not like a long roll of bushes, where they can hide. So that was one of the last things that happened before we moved. The last thing that happened
when she jumped in the prickly bush,
you would have heard her.
Right.
So she would be like, oh fuck. So go ahead.
and so the last thing that happened when we finally say, okay, this is the straw that broke the camel's back, like we're done. My great grandfather was about to pass away. He was dying of cirrhosis of the liver. And so he was dying. He was already, it was like he was in hospice, but the family was just taking care of him. And so my mom, it was her turn for us to go to her aunt's house, which is my great aunt, to watch the house while they took him to the hospital, because it was like the day he was going to die. So we entrusted our neighbor. She was from Mexico, her and her husband. We gave him a copy of our apartment keys and said, listen, every night before you go to bed, please can you just do a little walk over there, check it out, and then if anything happens, call us. So okay. So one night we're there, and my great grandfather, he was already in this, yeah, he was about to die any moment now. And the phone rings. My mom answers it, and it's our neighbor. She says, man, I had to just call to confirm that you're not home. She's like, what do you mean? She's like, me and my husband went to the apartment and we could hear loud music playing, like if there's a party going on. I thought you got home and you had a gathering. She's like, what do you mean a gathering? She's like, I'm still here. Obviously, I'm here at my aunt's house still. She goes, no, we literally just left from your apartment and there was loud music blasting. You could hear people talking, but not clear. It was like muffled. You could hear people laughing, talking, like they're having a good time. I thought you were home. She's like, no. She's like, you have permission to go into the apartment and go see who it is, who's in there. Call the cops if you have to. So her husband, he didn't have a weapon. He had like a hammer, right? He got the hammer. He went over there like, I'm gonna start hitting people. So he goes, and mind you, okay, imagine like he goes to the front door. He's pulling the key in. She's kind of stepped back so she could see if people try to look into the mini blinds.
Yeah.
The moment he puts the keys into the door and he turns, the lights go black.
Nice.
They turn off.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He opens it. He walks in. There's no smell of nothing like that. I mean, he just walks in like if nothing had ever happened. Like there was no one there. And he got scared. He's like, what the hell? He went upstairs. He looked and he ran out the apartment. He was like, I'm done. Hell no.
Oh
So
my
then the next night, my mom was like, we're gonna go back home the next night. So we went back home. We arrived, and he was like, and when we're walking to the apartment, him and her are at the door at the apartment. He goes, look, before it goes away. My mom starts walking faster. We get to where they're at, and you can hear boom, boom, like if they had like rock music on or something.
shit.
All of a sudden, you can hear the sound of like, imagine like when you go to a restaurant and all you hear is like that background noise where people are just talking.
Yeah.
That's what you hear, like, and ha ha, like laughing. Mom was like, what the, whatever. And she goes straight to the door. She whoops it open, pitch black.
Nice.
Nothing, there's nothing, no sign of anybody.
Wow.
We walk in and clear the whole house. My mom was like, I'm done. So she's like, you know what? In her mind, she was like, before I leave, we move from here. We cannot allow anybody else to experience this.
Oh, good for her.
So she went to the church, asked one more time if they can come bless the house. They said no, sorry. Here's the water. Here's the holy water. Here's the scriptures. Read this when you're doing this, and it'll be gone.
Do it
My
yourself.
mom goes back. Yeah, my mom goes back. Have no knowledge of cleansing this, and this is why I tell people it's very important not to just go to Google. And I mean, I'm not saying people can't cleanse their own home, but there's a way of doing it. And if you don't do it the correct way, or if you stop mid cleansing, you're just gonna piss off whatever's there. You're not gonna accomplish anything.
Antibiotics and stop it halfway through. But you got MRSA.
Right.
You got
And
MRSA.
so
You don't just stop your antibiotics. You got to finish the prescription.
right.
Oh, go ahead. I feel that.
And my mom had no idea how to even attempt to cleanse. So, typical, just her being my mom, she loved to clean, right? When I was a kid, she always said, if your room's not clean and you see all that your clothes everywhere, the devil lives in the clothes, like in the dirt and the dirtiness. You gotta have cleanliness in your apartment, in your house. I didn't care. I was like, whatever. So, she would always clean. So her thought was, what if I put the holy water into the bucket of mopping water and just mop and clean like you normally would clean?
Yes, that's
and let me just clean, right? And so she goes up to my room, starts there first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's in there. I'm downstairs. There's nothing on. I'm just listening. All of a sudden, we hear the sound of like a storm rolled in, and you can hear like when the wind blows real hard outside. You hear like that. Sounds like a weird sound, right? I heard that, and my mom, like, I hear, like I literally felt like I saw my mom jump from the top stair to the bottom. Like, I mean, she grabbed me and ran out, and I was like, what? And she was like,
yeah.
And right when we're running out, you can hear like this. I can't even replicate the sound, but imagine this loud, ugly growling sound we heard. And she was like, I saw something. She was like, when I was doing the cleansing, she's like, your my closet door never opened for some reason. Like it was almost like imagine like the door was jammed.
Yeah.
It's like I was cleaning and I was putting holy water on the windows, putting crosses, praying the scriptures, reading the scriptures, and that door that never opens, and the whole time we've been there, opened up.
Yeah.
And the sound of this it sounded like a dog or like this angry something was in there, and it was growling. So I jumped down and I ran down the stairs. Like I felt like she was gliding down the stairs, and she was like, I grabbed you,
She's
and I
wicked.
got out of there, and my sister, of course. But
Yeah.
that was like the final straw. She didn't finish the cleansing because she got scared.
No, she
But
was
we
right
moved
not
out.
to.
We
That was right not to, because that
yeah
was okay, Jess. That's like the Dybbuk box and using holy water to open it up. All right, so that's the kind of same theory, because if you don't know something got trapped in a closet or blessed in or whatever, and now you're doing that and it's opened up, you're at a whole other level. It's like saying I'm going to fight 1-on-1 and all of a sudden there's an army. You don't have fucking enough holy water and shit, so you definitely leave, regroup, and say fuck it, they ain't worth it. So
right, and so we moved from there, and and here's the thing, when I was a
Nothing
kid,
followed you.
that's a good question. I always wondered that because, and as I'm about to tell you right now, when I was a kid, my mom, we were in housing, right, low income housing, and so we had the choice to stay at one place for as long as we needed, or you can, once the lease is up, you can move. And so my mom constantly moved because everywhere we moved to, we always had an experience, and this is the way it started. We moved to a new neighborhood, and the first thing we did as kids was, like any kid does, you go mingle with the neighborhood kids and get to know them, whatever. And the first thing the kids tell us, "Oh my God, how do you live in that house that's haunted on the block? How do you live in that house where someone got killed, or how do you live in on the house on the block where someone hung themselves?"
Yep. But Jess, they're all on the
And
market for that reason, because of those problems. That's why the government.
They're what?
That's why the government buys up those kinds of houses for like different programs and like different whatever.
Because nobody else will use them.
Because it's too hard to shift it, so they can make a really quick buck. And even if they all go flying out, there's going to be somebody else that pops up for it. It's a sin what they do.
right.
Like, continue.
So you're not sure if it followed you or if you were just housed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. To me, and every time we moved, it became like, okay, we try to make bets, like, how fast are the neighborhood kids going to tell us, hey, this person got killed, or
What the
this person killed themselves, or whatever the situation was. And there was one house. I mean, many houses we moved to, but there was one house that we moved to, and I never forget this moment, just like all the other moments. But one of my neighbors, who was a good friend, I'm still friends with him now. He tells me, hey, well, he's like, something happened in your house, and I'll tell you when the time's right. I said, nah, motherfucker, tell me now.
Yeah,
he's like, nope. He's like, no, I'm not gonna tell you. I want you to see if you experience it. I'm like, oh hell. So this is during the time when it was, I think, either after the Blair Witch Project came out. I was like hooked. I was like,
dude,
oh my God, I want to get a
that
camera.
is on my TV right now, by the way. I just paused it to come on the show.
Shut up. That's
who even watches Blair Witch
anymore?
Right. And I
2 years ago. Go ahead.
I was hooked. I was hooked on the idea of this, people walking with cameras, not so much being in the woods, but just trying to document the whole thing, right? And I was hooked on that. I was like, I want to capture something. So what ended up happening was I'm there at the house, and I'm laying in my bed, and my brother had the habit. I don't care who you were, family or friends. He always was that one kid who would like creep up on you and then do like the jump scare and scare the hell out of you, right?
Him out.
Right. And so I'm laying on my bed, and on my right side, my peripheral, I see someone crawling into my room. And I'm like, he's a little bastard. I'm gonna get him before he gets me. And so I'm laying there, and I'm looking up at the ceiling, and I can see him, like, imagine him doing the army crawl, like, coming to my bed to where my feet are at, and he's getting closer and closer and closer, and all of a sudden he gets so close to me. I'm like, 3, 2, 1, and I leap out of my bed. I yell as loud as I could, and then I stop yelling. There's a boy standing right in front of me who's not my brother, and he does this thing like this, like he goes like this.
What is that?
And I thought it was one of his friends.
Oh, like he thought you were gonna attack.
Like he thought I was gonna hit him.
Oh wow!
And like he got scared, and I didn't think anything of it. Just I thought, okay, it's my brother's friend. I go, oh, I'm sorry. And I looked down, he had no feet. Like
Yo.
where imagine where your ankles are at. There's no feet there, and like he just
Awesome.
dashes, hits the wall, and he just like imagine like you blink and it's just not there no more.
That is
I like
awesome.
I'm
The
getting chills right
crawling.
now, right?
I
I
bet.
yelled so loud. I yelled so loud around my room, "Mom!" And I was like out of breath, and I have asthma. I was like, I thought I had an asthma attack. Like I was freaking out.
I do too.
What? And I said, "Ugh." She almost slapped me. Like, shut up, stop. And I was like, I was pointing to my feet, like, she thought something bit me. I said, there was a boy who had no feet. She said, what? You're losing your mind. I said, no, he ran to the wall, and I was trying to explain. So I go to my friend. I said, man, you're not gonna believe what I saw. I saw a young boy. I thought it was one of my brother's friends. I scared him, thinking it was my brother. And when I looked down, he goes, he had no feet. And I was
Yeah.
like, wait, what? He goes, remember what I was supposed to tell you? I'm like, yeah. He goes, here in my house, because he lives across from me. He goes, here in my house, there was a family who lived here, and the little boy was playing with the water heater, and something happened. There was like a malfunction. Something happened, but the water heater exploded,
Oh God.
and when it exploded, parts of his limbs came off,
Mm.
and the boy he ended up somehow by like the by where the sidewalks at by across where you're at,
Oh wow.
and he
My.
was dead.
So
And,
he got
and
there
so
property.
yeah, and so they think that he like I think that's his soul because other people who have lived there said they seen this boy with no feet, right? And so when this happens, my neighbor he lived on the right side where I lived, and then another guy lived on my left. This guy was an older dude of the block. Like he was a one guy who was like the older brother who watched over all the teenagers, you know. And he had his own wife and his kids, but he would say something like, "Hey, trying to teach us the to be take the right path and be good in life and whatever." Well, his brother moves in, named David. I never forget Roger and David. They were really good guys. David, he had a camcorder. He was like, "Hey, look at this camcorder I bought." As soon as I saw that, that's when that inspiration about wanting to document this stuff came into play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my God!" And I saw, I go, bro. There's a ghost in my house. I go, would you be willing to let me use your camera to try to document this? And he was like, yeah, man, just don't break it. I trust you, man. Just, take care of it. So and as soon as he told me that, man, I got it. I got it. I ran to my house. The neighborhood kids were like, man, can we come to your house and stay the night and we can watch with you? I was like, yeah, go ahead. They all
Uh-huh.
come in, all guys, right? And we're watching The Exorcist of all things at night. I hear the little bing from the camera where it's fully charged, right? I took it off and I never forget like opening the camera. It took tapes, right? And I remember I turned the night vision on and I was like, I'm about to capture a ghost on camera. And like I freaking started walking through the house and I look back, all those whatever, they were all asleep. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Excuse my language. I'm like, are you kidding me? And they're all asleep except for my brother, right? And I go, I'm gonna go check to see if I can capture anything. He goes, okay. I walk through the house. I'm like asking questions, like, come out, little boy. I didn't mean to scare you. I thought you were my brother. And I'm walking through the whole house and nothing happens. And I come back out of the hallway and it's like an L, right? So I went straight and then you make a right into like an L.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to my brother and on camera, I said, Joey, I go say hi to the camera. And I had the camera point at him and he like flips me off and we
Mm-hmm.
laugh. And I turned to the left, like I pan away from him. At that split second that I panned away from him, I see a face like looking at him.
That's
Like
awesome.
imagine like a floating head kind of thing.
Oh.
And like I put the camera down to look in my eyes and there was nothing there. And so I'm like, oh my God, look. I go, I hope this got I hope it got recorded. He goes like, what? I said, look. So we rewinded it. It was a tape. I rewinded it. And the part when he flips out the camera and when it pans away to the left, I hit pause. Imagine seeing like a glowing, like almost like a neon blue kind of color, like face hovering there, looking like my brother's here looking at the TV at this, like he's looking to the right, and this thing's looking directly at his face, and it's
Wow.
just floating there.
That's
And
awesome.
when I see this, I scream so loud, and nobody woke up though, and I was like, I mean, I didn't know, I didn't, even, I'm trying to digest what I just captured on camera. So the next day, I went back to my friend. I said, "Listen," I go, "Look what I caught, man." And it felt like I was in a dream, like I didn't want to wake up from. He
Wow.
plays the video. He was like, and like, I saw the fear in his face. Like, what did you just like? What the hell did you just capture? So my friends who stayed there when they saw it, they ran, literally ran into the neighborhood, like going to everybody. There was people coming to my house from like three or four neighborhoods down the road. Are you the guy who are you the ghost hunter? Like I'm like, what?
That's
Are
awesome.
you the ghost hunter? The guy who captured the ghost? Can we see it? And I was directing to my friend, and my friend will bust out the camera, like show and tell, and like show him the video. Oh my god, I can't. And I mean, and in the neighborhood, everyone knew me as the ghost hunter. So to me, that was like I felt so happy, and that was my first taste of capturing something. And I tell people this: imagine throughout our lifetime, the things that we've experienced. Imagine in those times if we could have documented those moments.
I know. Oh my God.
Imagine how much amazing evidence we could have had today
Yeah.
I would
of
have
all
so
those
much
things that
growth from a
occurred.
psychiatrist when I was a child. I could have been like, "Ha ha! I didn't make it up. It's not fantasy.
Right,
It's right there, motherfucker."
right,
Versus
Yeah.
like,
right.
mom says it's not true, but I saw it. No, I'm weird. Okay. Now it's
Yeah.
like, ah, yeah. If we had cameras. Well, anyway, you're right.
I can't believe this shit. You just like you have so many experiences.
And that's just like the tip of the iceberg. Like I mean, you haven't even scratched it yet. It's like so much that has
Do you
happened.
have any intuitive or sensitive abilities? Um
Honest, and to me, like I told my sister, right? Because my sister, she said that she's clairvoyant, right? And I seen the things that she's done. Like my sister, man, like when we were kids, when all this was happening, like my sister, she had an accident when we were kids. My stepfather, he was a drunk, and I hated him for many years because of how he was. But one day he was real drunk, and I never forget this night. And he had my sister in her arms, and he slips, and he fell backward, and she fell head first into the cement, and just boom. I think she got like a concussion or something happened to her where she had like the edge of something rammed her right in her like between her eyes, or something happened to hit her in her head,
Yeah.
and she suffered this really bad damage. So from that, she couldn't see well as a kid, and so she was, once the hospital got checked, and then she had to wear these special glasses because it really damaged her like it real
Obviously,
bad.
yeah. It messes
and,
all.
and so but my sister, like we would play hide and go seek or like tag, and she would run full speed right into a wall because she just couldn't see that well.
oh
And so
shit.
like but the thing is, when she would out of nowhere, we'll be sitting there, and she'll be talking to somebody,
Oh
and
wow.
I'll be looking at her, and I'm the oldest, she's the second oldest, and she'll just be talking, and she'll be like, I can't play right now, I'll play later on,
That's
but I don't
awesome.
want to go into the closet though. And like she'll be like, and me as the oldest one, I would think, okay, it's an imaginary friend, right?
Yeah.
But my sister always had this gift, and I don't know if it stemmed from that, or what was the cause of it. But the thing is, growing up, we would go to investigations. Once you start investigating, and she would say things to the client or to the children, whoever, and I'll sit there and I'm like, I just trust what she's saying, but it would be like, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then the clients will confirm what she was saying.
Wow.
And so to answer your question, I feel like we're all sensitive in certain aspects. Like some are more sensitive than others. Some do have abilities. I don't claim that I have any abilities that I know of or that anyone's ever told me. Um, but to me, I rely heavily on my devices, right? Because I can't walk into a place and that there's a ghost right there. Like I don't have that ability. So I do use my, we all have senses. We all have certain feelings that we get, like when your hair stand up in the back of your neck, or you get goosebumps, or you feel some cold spots. Like we all have that sensitivity, but some have it extra,
Yeah.
and I don't think I have. The only thing that's ever happened to me where I question, and it has nothing to do paranormal wise, was I was on the bus coming home. I didn't have a car then, and I have a brother, a long lost brother that I haven't talked to in so long. And as I was coming to my block where my mom lived, imagine like a Polaroid picture. I like in my mind, I saw this picture, like a Polaroid picture pop up in my mind, and it had that brother. His face was on the picture, and I'm like, Isaac, like what the hell? Like why did I even think about this? And like I walk into the house, and I see my mom's friend there. I say, hey, where's my mom at? She's like, oh, she went to the store with your brother Isaac. I'm like, wait, what? What'd you say? She's like, I haven't seen him in years. She's like, yeah, he just showed up out of nowhere. He picked it up. They went to the store. And it was just so
Wow.
weird because I mean I'm on the bus and it's like if someone took a photo and they just said, look at this Polaroid picture, and it was his face. And
That's
I pulled up to
crazy.
the house and he happened to be there. So again, to me I don't consider that, an ability that I know of, but every now and then things like that have happened to me, but I don't really think
Okay.
about it too much. You know what I mean? I just kind of like, oh, it happened and move on from it.
This has been an amazing hour. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us. Before you go, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you and your show at before we end?
Yes, if you go to Facebook, put www.facebook.com/paranormal MPS, or you can just search in the bar Midnight Paranormal Society, and you'll see we have live investigations we do on Facebook when our clients permit. We have a show that we bring people like TV celebrities, non people, just local people. If you have a story, I don't care if you're on TV or not. If you have a story you want to share, I'm all about that. To me, I'm all about bringing awareness of paranormal. So I love to bring people on and just hear what they have to say about their experiences. So you can catch all of that on our page.
Now, with your show, do you have a certain day of a week that you do your paranormal talk show, or?
Our shows are mainly on the weekend, so it can be any time between Friday and Saturday. But we try to do a show pretty much every single weekend if we can, and we have a few coming up actually. This weekend coming up, and then the following weekend we have a show coming up.
Oh, very nice. So we're all going to have to make sure that we
Yeah, we tune in.
yours. Now, are you having any events with your paranormal group that people can attend right now?
Not right now, event wise. The only thing we have right now is our live investigations. We're gonna have an investigation, the 20th, which is I believe this coming Saturday. We're
Hmm.
gonna have a residential case, and we'll be live for that, so people can tune in, and we try to give them the insight to what really goes on in an investigation. Like, not to get too much into it, but what you see on TV, you don't see everything. So you can
Right.
check out our live investigations, and you see everything from beginning to end.
That's amazing. Now, who else is on your team besides you?
It's my co-founder Jeanette, who's also my sister. We have my tech manager, which is my brother-in-law, her husband. My lead investigator, his name's Ronnie, great guy. We have Robert, who goes by Goggles because he wears night vision goggles. We have Mary Lou, who's my case manager. Kayla, my cleanser. We have Lisa, who's my backup cleanser. Who else? We have Alma, who's one of our other investigators. Hector, who's another investigator. I mean, we have so many people. We have about like 10 to 12 people on our team. So
Okay.
again, it's like a big family.
And now, do all of you investigate the police in every case, or is it like,
It depends on the circumstance. If we go to a place that's very small, I plan accordingly to the size and what's going on. If it's a small place, I'll bring like 4 people with us. It just all depends on the location size.
makes sense? Now, I have one last question before we go. How does somebody have you help them? Like, how does that work? Like, do they just message you? Like, do they have to bring?
Yeah, so
Like, what's up with
so
that?
Yeah, so what normally happens is we have business cards that we give out, or people just through word of mouth. People contact us through phone number, or they'll email us to paranormal mps at
Phone
gmail.com.
number.
And
No,
what happens? Say again?
what's the phone number?
Oh, I don't put it out there because I don't want just random people calling me.
My bad.
That
Go.
no no. And
I'm gonna prank call you.
this is what I would say. If you want, because my number's on my page. If you want to get my number, you'll see a big picture of our business card, and then you can see all that information.
That's
But I ran sometimes I get the most random like phone calls from people, and like not to get like I hear things. I'm like
worries.
so you gotta be very careful.
That's fine. So they can contact you through the website, through the
Our
group
email address.
email address. Do they have to post like pictures already with you? Like, how do you pick the client?
So what happens is, when they contact me and say, "Hey, Mike, I'm going through X, Y, and Z, whatever. This is what I'm going through." I have them give me a phone call. They call me. I love to talk on the phone because, to me, through message, it's hard to try to perceive what they're saying. But anyways, they give me a call. I talk to them. I meet up with them, and because of COVID, we got to be very careful. We
Right.
practice social distancing. We wear gloves, wear masks. We're
Good.
very safe and clean.
Good.
But if they can't meet us face to face, we do a Zoom meeting, a Zoom video call. That way we can sit down and talk to them. They can meet myself and my team, explain what they're going through, and what I tell people is when we go to their homes or businesses, I tell them, listen, before I even think paranormal, I want to try to find a logical explanation to what's going on. If I cannot find anything that's normal causing this, and if it is paranormal, we'll figure it out. And if it requires a cleansing, then I have my cleansers. You know, they'll do the cleansing. We do everything free of charge. We don't charge for anything to do.
That's amazing. Thank you again, Mike, for coming on the show. It's been such an awesome blast with you. I really appreciate it, especially with everything going on with you in Texas.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you again. We'll see you next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Delvin Talk Show. Bye, everybody.